She came to rent a room, revealing a hidden truth that transformationally changed us both. The day Clara arrived at their modest home, it poured like the world was crying for Sarah's troubles. With her eyes still on the bills piled on the kitchen table, Sarah watched the stranger cross their threshold, suitcase in hand. She felt a glimmer of hope mixed with unease. Could this woman truly help them? Ryan, her boss at the diner, had said desperate times call for desperate measures. Now, with the eviction notice in her pocket and the sound of Lily laughing in her room, Sarah dismissed the nagging thought of who this Clara really was, focusing instead on securing a future for her daughter. However, the first sight of Clara's warm smile and faded clothes ignited curiosity. It felt like they were reaching out to grab an opportunity that could either save them or pull them deeper into chaos. What if Clara's presence exacerbated the situation? What if Lily became too attached? Shame crept in as she considered her own weakness. How could she be jealous of someone simply trying to help? As days passed, Sarah observed Clara teaching Lily in their cramped living room. Weeks of worry replaced by an unusual rhythm. Words exchanged, laughter ringing through the halls. Sarah, meanwhile, drifted into her shifts, pouring coffee and serving pie, her heart heavy with an ache that nagged at her resolve. Was her daughter, tall for 12 and struggling with anxiety, finally finding a way to gleam? Or was her connection with Clara dimming the bond they shared? Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. That evening, rain tapped gently against the window, weaving a soundtrack of unease. Sarah approached Clara, feeling the weight of days behind closed doors. She found her seated with Lily, surrounded by textbooks and papers. Yet the air shimmered with tension. Would letting Clara into their lives tear down the fragile walls she'd built? She hesitated, tongue caught in her throat when she saw the faded envelope peeking from Clara's suitcase as it lay open in the corner. The sight sent shivers down Sarah's spine. What secrets did Clara keep? Fear twisted in her gut as she wrestled with the thought that perhaps Clara was here not just for Lily, but to rewrite her own narrative through them. Just as Sarah was ready to confront Clara about the strange hidden weight she carried, a familiar whisper of anxiety clawed at her. The unknown loomed larger than her fears about money, pushing her to a brink she'd never anticipated. Can you trust a stranger when both your lives hang in the balance? With this decision accumulating, she felt trapped in a game where losing was imminent. The air crackled with the prospect of uncovered truths, and behind that door of secrets she sensed Clara's shadowed past. What would it mean for Lily? For her? The storm resonated in her heart. The pounding of her pulse clashed against the uncertainty that now hung in the atmosphere, wrapping around them all like the encroaching rain. How long before the storm would strike, threatening to tear apart everything they had tried so desperately to hold together? The next morning, Sarah awoke to an oppressive silence that blanketed their home. The usual sounds of Lily's laughter and Clara's gentle encouragement were conspicuously absent. For a moment, she felt paralyzed, uncertainty churning in her stomach like a storm. As she pushed herself out of bed, the oppressive weight of the envelope she had glimpsed the night before lingered in her mind. Taking a deep breath, she made her way to the kitchen, where she expected to find both Clara and Lily engaged in their morning routine. Instead, she found ominous stillness, the remnants of breakfast untouched on the table. An unsettling thought struck her. Had Clara left? Had she abandoned them when they needed her most? Panic rose as she glanced toward the back door, but it was still locked. Perhaps she hadn't left, or worse, perhaps she was still stuck in the shadows of the past. The unease morphed into determination. She needed to confront Clara, not only for her own peace, but for Lily's sake. After a hasty breakfast, she wandered down the hallway and knocked gently on Clara's door. No response. She knocked again, louder this time. Still nothing. Heart racing, Sarah pushed the door open, revealing a room steeped in light yet tinged with the pallor of suppressed emotions. Clara sat curled up on her bed, her figure small and vulnerable against the pastel bedsheets. "I thought you left," Sarah breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. Clara shifted, her eyes reflecting a mixture of sorrow and defiance. I needed a moment," she said, voice strained like violin strings under too much tension. Sarah's heart softened, but she couldn't shake the urgency within her. "We need to talk. Please, you have to let me in." Clara hesitated but nodded slowly. Sarah stepped into the room, closing the door behind her, sealing them away from the world. "Tell me what's going on," Sarah pressed, her heart racing as she faced Clara. "You've been such a help to Lily, but there's something you're hiding. What's in that envelope?" Clara looked away, anguish flickering across her features. "It's just my past. I've made mistakes." "Everyone has a past, Clara. But we need to understand what yours is, especially for Lily's sake." The air thickened with vulnerability as Clara inhaled sharply and struggled to find her words. "I lost my way once. It wasn't just bad choices, it was about trying to escape. Escape from all of it. My life was falling apart, and then..." She looked down, as if the ground might swallow her whole. Sarah felt a pang of empathy. "What happened?" "I thought I could hide it. I took on a role that wasn't really me just to survive, but I kept coming back to the same problems." Clara's voice cracked, and Sarah could see the tears pooling in her eyes. "I wanted to help Lily because part of me wishes someone helped me when I was lost." In that moment, Sarah saw Clara not as the intruder in their lives but as a kindred spirit seeking redemption. Yet a chilling thought crept into her mind. Could Clara's past be more dangerous than it seemed? The warmth of understanding began to mingle with the cold grip of uncertainty. Could she trust Clara, or would the hidden truth create fissures they wouldn't be able to mend? "Lily deserves to know she's safe," Sarah said carefully, a new determination flooding her veins. "And so do you. What if I'm not the woman who can help?" Clara's voice barely above a whisper. "You are. But we need to face the truth together," Sarah replied, feeling emboldened by the connection they shared. "Let me help you too." They stood, two women shaped by their experiences, each bearing the scars of their past. As the rain continued to patter against the window, a sense of resolution filled the space, an understanding that they could unpack their histories, even if it meant uncovering some painful truths. However, deeper within Sarah, the questions loomed larger. What would happen when they unearthed those secrets? And would the bond they were beginning to forge survive the storm that inevitably lay ahead? Behind Clara's haunted eyes, Sarah sensed the deeper shadows looming, ready to emerge. As she faced the uncertainty together with Clara, one thing was clear. It was time to confront the past, even if it meant triggering the storm they both feared. Did they have the strength to weather it? And in this new chapter of their lives, who would emerge transformed and who would remain lost? The silence in the room stretched like an elastic band, taut and fraying at the edges. Sarah felt an overwhelming tide of emotions swelling within her. A mixture of hope and apprehension swirled together. They needed to peel away the facade surrounding Clara's truth. But where to start? "Clara?" She began, carefully gauging the other woman's response. "What exactly are we racing against? Is there a timeline here? Something that we need to prepare for?" Clara's eyes darted to the window, where the rain still streamed freely down the glass, obscuring the view of the outside world. "My past, it could catch up with me at any moment. I've hidden from it so long. If it surfaces, it could ruin everything, especially for Lily." Each word felt heavier than the last, yet Sarah sensed a flicker of resolve starting to ignite within her. "Then we need to be proactive. Let's lay it out on the table. All of it." Clara's shoulders sagged as if her burdens were tangible weights. "You think that's wise?" "It's the only way," Sarah insisted. Confronting it can drain its power. Together we can navigate through whatever it is. The challenge loomed, and a part of Sarah wondered if she had the strength not just to support Clara but to expose herself in the process. A cascade of memories flooded her mind. Shadows of her own past failures, the fear of being vulnerable. Yet, this was about Clara now, and more importantly, about Lily's innocence hanging in the balance. "There are things I've done that make me unworthy," Clara said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Everyone makes mistakes, Clara. But those mistakes don't define who we are today. They're just pieces of our puzzle. You said you want to help Lily. Well, she deserves to see your whole self. That includes your battles and how you've overcome them." Clara met her gaze, searching for an anchor amid the storm of her emotions. Slowly, the veil of fear began to tremble as she dipped her head in acceptance. "I was involved in things I shouldn't have been. I got desperate." "What kind of things?" Sarah probed, fingers brushing anxiously against the edge of her own anxiety. "People, bad influences. I fell into a life that didn't reflect who I truly wanted to be," Clara admitted, the words falling slow and heavy. "I did whatever it took to survive. It put me at the intersection of choices that went against everything I believed in." "That's a starting point," Sarah urged. "You can acknowledge the reality without letting it dictate your future." "What happened next?" Clara hesitated and the tension in the air thickened. "It spiraled. I distanced myself from my family, from all the good in my life. I hurt those closest to me. There were nights where I didn't even recognize myself in the mirror." The more Clara opened up, the more Sarah felt like a spectator and a participant at once, caught between the need to understand and the fear of the truth they both unearthed. "But you're here now. You're working with Lily. You've begun to take steps toward healing." "I didn't think it was possible until I met you both," Clara confessed, her voice quaking. "But now I worry that my past will shatter the fragile peace we've built." Every word was laced with vulnerability, yet the strength in Clara's admission stirred something within Sarah. They both stood on the edge of confronting their truths head-on. This was not just about Clara anymore. It was about redefining their lives, embracing their full selves together. "What if we turn this fear inside out and make a plan?" Sarah suggested, emboldened. "We can set clearer boundaries for ourselves, find ways to shield Lily from anything harmful, while still allowing you to seek redemption." Clara's eyes shimmered with newfound hope, a reflection of recognition in her confession. "But what if the storm doesn't pass? What if it hits hard when we least expect it?" Taking a deep breath, Sarah steadied herself. "Then we face it together, whatever it is. I may be afraid of what lies ahead, but we take it one step at a time. If we both commit to confronting this, we can emerge stronger." As Clara nodded, an unspoken understanding blossomed between them. They had begun to carve a path through the darkness, yet a clamor pulsated in Sarah's chest. What would happen when that hidden past finally surfaced to claw at their tenuous peace? "It's time to prepare for the inevitable," Sarah thought, resolve mixing with apprehension. But how do we prepare for salvation while navigating the chaos? In that moment, the first crack of thunder rumbled in the distance, echoing through the room and foreshadowing the turmoil that lay ahead. Sarah felt the pull of urgency. Was she truly ready to face the spiraling depths of Clara's past? What if unearthing the truth would challenge everything they fought to build? Clara's hesitation hung heavy in the charged air, the unrelenting storm outside mirroring the conflict within. Sarah felt a visceral pull toward action, deeply aware that time was slipping away. This moment, it could either become a turning point or a retreat back into shadows. "What if we sketch out a plan to address your past?" Sarah proposed, feeling both a surge of inspiration and trepidation flow through her. "Mapping it out might lend some control. We can identify what triggers you, what to avoid while confronting what must be faced." "Control," Clara whispered, her voice a mix of doubt and longing. The very notion sent waves of anxiety through Sarah. Control felt elusive, especially when tangled in the web of secrets and lies. "Let's start with the worst parts," Sarah said, her determination crystallizing into a hardened resolve. Think about what you fear the most. If we can bring those fears into the light, they may lose their grip on you. Clara swallowed hard, eyes locked on the floor before her. I let people down. The people who trusted me died because of my choices. I was caught in a police chase, and when the car flipped, they didn't make it. Sarah's heart sank. Each word Clara uttered punctured any pretense of encapsulating this moment into something manageable. I can't imagine the weight of that, Clara. But keep talking. What led to that night? The question hung in the air, almost tangible, forcing Clara to confront thoughts buried deep. It was a downward spiral. Addiction, refusal to ask for help, thinking I was invincible. I needed to prove to myself that I could survive anything. I was reckless. Recklessness dims the light in us, but it doesn't extinguish it completely, Sarah countered, a newfound authority in her voice. You're here now, capable of change. The journey to personal redemption begins with hard truths. Clara exhaled shakily, the burdens of her past still etched on her face. You really think I can make a difference now? I do, Sarah replied steadily. Lily needs a role model who can show her that growth involves facing our histories, even when it frightens us. Clara's expression softened as she considered Sarah's words. But what if I fail her? What if my past breaks her? I believe in your strength to shield her. We can be the architects of this journey, steering our own fates, said Sarah, feeling the irrefutable pull toward hope weaving itself into her heart. Let's outline your steps. What can we commit to doing next, together? Clara's gaze lifted to meet Sarah's, a flicker of determination igniting the depths of her eyes. I need to reach out to my family. They hold pieces of my truth that can no longer remain concealed. Excellent. Reestablishing those connections could propel you forward, Sarah encouraged, her own fear morphing into a fierce resolve to protect Clara's burgeoning confidence. As they sketched points on a napkin, brainstorming how to reconnect, thunder rumbled again, a deep warning rolling in the distance. Every growing echo heightened Sarah's realization. They were approaching a cliff, both thrilling and terrifying. Clara, what if we were proactive about potential fallout? Were there any lingering contacts from your past we should address or sever ties with before they find their way back in? Clara's hands trembled slightly as she wrote, revealing her scattered thoughts. I still have numbers saved. People who could come back into my life like a storm if I don't distance myself now. Let's list every single one, Sarah said urgently, but inside she wrestled with a gnawing anxiety. There were no guarantees, but they were defining their narrative one choice at a time. As Clara wrote, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that each name had the power to drag them back into depths once left behind. Would confronting these shadows lead to liberation or ensnare them further? We must fortify ourselves against whatever comes next, Sarah thought, heart racing as realization washed over her. It was not just Clara's battle, it was becoming theirs. But with this responsibility came a weight that felt almost unbearable. Clara looked at her, a silent plea in her gaze. Would she have the courage to walk this precarious line no matter the cost? This was the true test of their resolve, and as each name was inscribed on paper, Sarah felt the thunder rumble within. They were on the cusp of revelation, standing at the threshold of a storm that could reshape everything. What awaited them in the chaos? The wind howled outside, wrapping around the building like a restless spirit. But inside the small cafe, Clara focused on the names scrawled hastily across the napkin. Each one felt like a weight tethering her to a past she longed to escape but was equally terrified to confront. The dim lighting amplified her fears, casting daunting shadows that seemed to swallow her resolve. Okay, she said, voice cracking slightly as she moved her finger down the list. This person here? He was my dealer. He might think reaching out means I'm unsteady again. I can't let him sense any weakness. Sarah nodded, her mind racing ahead. Then maybe it's best to cut ties completely. A clean break could be your best shield. We want to build a new life, not drag the old one along. Clara blinked, considering Sarah's words. But what if he gets angry? What if he comes looking for me? The anxiety swirling inside her felt akin to the storm outside, brewing and ready to explode. Then we'll handle it, Sarah assured, leaning forward, her voice steady. It's time to reclaim your narrative, and that might mean facing some uncomfortable truths about the people in your life. An unexpected gust of wind rattled the cafe window, evoking the tempest gathering within Clara. It just feels like so much, she admitted, her gaze falling back to the napkin. How did I even let myself get to this point? That's part of the journey, Clara. Understanding how you got here is just as important as figuring out where to go next. Sarah's eyes shimmered with determination. Think of this as a mountain. The summit is where you want to be, but you can't start climbing without first identifying the path to take. A frown tugged at Clara's lips. This feels more like a descent into a dark abyss. Sometimes the only way to cross a chasm is through it, Sarah countered, her voice low yet firm. Every name on that list is a bridge. It may be fraught with peril, but each step will lead you closer to facing yourself. Clara bit her lip, teetering on the edge of fear and the promise of something more. Can I really do this? Can I face these shadows? Underneath the fear is a strength that has kept you alive through far worse, Sarah replied. You're not the same person you were back then. You have clarity now, and your past doesn't define your future unless you allow it. Clara's heartbeat quickened, resonating in her chest like a war drum. Holding the napkin tightly, she felt the reality solidify. This wasn't just about names, it was about owning every part of her story for the first time. You're right. Let's list them all, even the ones who scare me the most. They have no power over me anymore unless I give it to them. Out of her periphery, Sarah smiled with a mix of pride and relief. This shift, however subtle, hinted at a turning point. Clara's transformation was cementing itself in her spirit, and for the first time there was a clarity in her gaze that suggested she was ready to confront her past, not just face it. With renewed courage, Clara began to write each name with precision, a mark of defiance. But with each stroke of the pen came a twinge of dread. The memories associated with these names loomed large, distorted by the lens of guilt and regret. It was here, at the juncture of advancement and hesitation, that Sarah sensed a crucial revelation was near. Wait, Clara stopped, exhaling sharply. What if there's someone missing from this list? What if the most significant name is the one I haven't written down yet? The atmosphere shifted palpably with her realization, and the storm outside echoed the tumult within Clara's mind. A name lingered, hidden in the depths of her consciousness, a figure so entrenched in her past that acknowledging them might be the key to her liberation. Who? Sarah pressed gently, sensing the emotional weight behind the question. It's my father. He's the reason so much started spiraling. He has to be on this list. The air thickened, anticipation crackling like static. Clara's gaze intensified, revealing not just fear but the glimmer of empowerment as she prepared to face the storm head-on. As she wrote the name down, a different kind of thunder rolled through her, a mixture of fear, relief, and unyielding determination. Whatever awaited them now would be pivotal in her journey. With the ink still drying on the napkin, Clara glanced up, her eyes steady. I guess we better brace ourselves for the aftermath of this. And it was in that moment that Sarah knew they were indeed on the brink of not just a confrontation with Clara's past, but an enlightening reckoning. What would it reveal about their resilience and commitment to redefining who they were? The cafe's atmosphere buzzed with an unsettling energy as Clara's pen finally lifted from the napkin, the inked name staring back at her like a haunting specter. The initial thrill of recognition soon gave way to a tidal wave of emotions, each ebb and flow dragging her deeper into uncharted waters. Her heart raced, not just from the weight of the name but from the realization that this was no longer just a list. It was her life, laid bare before her. Are you okay? Sarah's voice broke through Clara's spiraling thoughts, gentle but purposeful. Clara nodded slowly, both appreciative of Sarah's concern and frustrated by her own inertia. I feel like I've unleashed something I can't control. Maybe that's a good thing, Sarah mused, her tone reflective. After all, facing what's buried is the only way to ensure it doesn't continue to poison your future. What do you want to do next? Clara's gaze shifted back to the napkin, now a battlefield of transparency and confrontation. I need to find out about him. Understand why he did what he did. Why he hasn't reached out. There are so many unanswered questions. Then let's identify your next steps. What would contacting him entail? Clara swallowed hard, weighing the consequences. It's not just a phone call. If I face him, I have to be prepared. I'll need to confront all those emotions, betrayal, anger, that longing for approval I've tried to bury. That sounds profound, Sarah encouraged. But remember, this journey is about reclaiming your power. This time you're in control. A fleeting moment of clarity washed over Clara. She wasn't merely a victim in this narrative. She was evolving into a protagonist, ready to confront her antagonist. But underneath this newfound determination lay layers of doubt. Could she really reconcile the indelible scars her father had left? Clara bit her lip, her mind racing with potential scenarios. What if he's not even interested in reconnecting? What if all these years he didn't care? Then you'll know, Sarah responded, steady as ever. Knowledge becomes your tool. Ignorance breeds fear. Clara sat back, the weight of her own apprehension heavy on her shoulders. But pursuing this feels risky. What if it further damages me? What if I unravel all over again? But what if it brings you the closure you've been seeking? Sarah pressed gently. Sometimes the greatest fears hold the keys to our greatest strengths. Facing your father could prove to you just how far you've come. You need to believe in your own fortitude. Taking a deep breath, Clara steeled herself. I need to prepare. I'll need to talk to someone who knows more about him, maybe even old family friends or neighbors. Learn about his life since I've been gone. Exactly, Sarah said, her eyes shining with encouragement as if witnessing a flower blooming. Each step towards that goal solidifies your intention to take control. You're not just reclaiming the narrative, you're rewriting it. With newfound resolve, Clara could almost feel the dry ink on the napkin energizing her veins. She was done letting the past dictate her narrative. It was time to drive forward, allowing the discomfort of discovery to sharpen her clarity. However, an implicit anxiety clung to Clara as thoughts of confrontation loomed. What if her father was lost in denial, defensive or flippant? What would she do then? A sudden chill swept through her, the wind rattling the cafe windows ominously once more. Clara, what are you thinking? Sarah asked, her tone soft yet insistent. There's so much I don't know about him, Clara admitted, her voice a mere whisper. But there's one question haunting me the most. Why now? Why has he been silent all these years while I fought to survive? As the enormity of her inquiry settled within her, Clara's vision sharpened on the road ahead, an intricate web of potential decisions beginning to unfold. It was more than just confronting her father. It was about facing the insecurities he represented and transforming them into understanding. As she stared at the nameless past now seeping into her present, a quiet timbre of resolve resonated within her. Whatever lay ahead was wrapped in uncertainty, but Clara didn't shy away from the depth of her need for closure. With the parking lot echoing the cafe's stormy ambiance outside, Clara prepared herself for an opportunity she couldn't ignore. The time has come to face my father. I have to discover the man behind the myth he's become in my mind. Outside, the wind howled, and Clara wondered if it symbolized the resistance she would face. With one final deep breath, she made a plan to contact a family friend by the end of the week, one who could illuminate her father's life before re-engaging with him. And as they stepped from the cafe, uncertainty crackled in the air, a palpable reminder of the reckoning that awaited her. Would this journey empower her, or would it unravel the very fabric of her newfound resolve? The answers lingered just out of reach, waiting for her to muster the courage to claim them. The weight of her decision settled like a heavy cloak as Clara navigated through the bustling streets, a stark contrast to the whirlwind of thoughts fogging her mind. Determination pulsed beneath her skin. This was the first swell of her journey, stepping beyond the suffocating confines of uncertainty into the unknown. Days blurred into a medley of thoughts as Clara dug through family records, old photographs, and interconnected webs of anecdotes. Each memory shared, each whisper of a neighbor, became a tool. They chipped away at the emotional armor she had so carefully constructed. Conversations with family friends unearthed complexities she had never considered. Her father's absence, they explained, was a concoction of choices deeply woven with regret. The stories painted a picture not merely of negligence but of the struggles he encountered, and the shadows she had lived under as a result. The more Clara learned, the more the firm ground beneath her began to tremble. Could she still maintain her resolve after grasping the intertwined narratives of hurt and hardship? She felt the pulsing currents of empathy battling against the anger and resentment that had been her companions for so long. Clarity often came at a cost, and Clara wasn't sure she was willing to pay it. Late one evening, sifting through dusty mementos, she came across a forgotten box tucked high in the attic. Inside, she found letters, delicate, yellowed, and filled with raw emotion, revealing struggles her father faced during her childhood. The ink bled confessions of doubt, a desperate longing for forgiveness, and a desire to reconnect that had never reached her. Clara fought against the rising tide of undeniable feelings swirling within her. Could her father truly be flawed yet human, merely a man entangled in his own chaotic circumstances? Face flushed with mingling embarrassment and fury, Clara slammed the box shut. Her breath quickened, and the air thickened with unarticulated thoughts. Was she betraying herself by attempting to understand him? Each letter mirrored fragments of her own insecurities, echoes of yearning for approval that still seeped into her core. She felt each pulse resonate, amplifying both the pain of rejection and the longing for resolution. Motivated by a mixture of anguish and curiosity, Clara reached for her phone, fingers hovering over the keys. She prepared to reach out to her father for the first time, her heart pounded with both fear and anticipation. The weight of uncertainty hung heavily in the air around her, a silent yet potent reminder that this first step could chart a course into treacherous waters. "Are you ready for this?" she whispered to herself, summoning resolve with each passing moment. What if he dismissed her? What if he refused to acknowledge his past choices, rendering her efforts futile? The fear of rejection danced tantalizingly close, yet so did the prospect of healing, or at least the potential for a different narrative to unfold. With insight gained from the past, Clara felt a flicker of strength. This journey had become more than an exploration of her father's life. It was a reclamation process, an affirmation of her own existence beyond the foreshadowing myth he had crafted. A distant rumble of thunder rolled overhead, mirroring the storm brewing within Clara. She tamped down the rising fear, focusing instead on the goal she had set forth. Reconnecting with her father had morphed into a means of establishing her identity, not just rooted in his actions but intertwined with her own awakening and resilience. As she finally pressed the call button, uncertainty surged through her veins like an electrifying jolt. Butterflies danced wildly within her, illuminating her fears but also her eagerness for the answers she had sought all along. The phone rang, each pulse echoing her heartbeat, building suspense. Then it connected. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was both familiar and distant, a bridge to the man she had spent years constructing in her mind. Clara took a deep breath, her voice steadied by the weight of her intention. "Dad, it's Clara." The silence that followed felt like an eternity, charged with possibilities. What lay ahead was unknown, but Clara was ready to face whatever shadows surfaced, even if it meant confronting the truth that could shatter her perception of who she was. "Can I really handle what comes next?" she pondered, opening the door to a confrontation she had long postponed. The silence stretched suffocating until finally, Clara heard a sharp intake of breath from her father. "Clara?" His voice was tentative, as if testing the waters of familiarity after years of absence. "Yes," she breathed out, pouring every ounce of her suppressed pain into that single word. She wished she could engage him without the weight of their past, but every memory clawed at her, demanding acknowledgement. "Why are you calling?" he asked, a fragile layer of apprehension woven into his tone. It was the inquiry she had anticipated, yet the simplicity of it struck her deeply. The question was loaded, laden with his evasion, her curiosity, and uncountable unspoken grievances. Taking a moment to steady herself, Clara reminded herself of her newfound clarity. She didn't owe him an explanation, nor did she seek his redemption. What she needed were answers. "I found some letters," she said, her voice trembling slightly. From you, the ones in the attic." There was a long pause, and when he finally spoke, Clara sensed an unfamiliar vulnerability emanating from him. "You shouldn't have read those. They were private. We're private." The words echoed through the phone, and Clara felt the truth and pain held within that statement. It made her confront the very heart of her motives in calling, a collision between desire and retribution, healing and anger. "They are part of my life too, Dad. You were my father, my absence, your choices. They shaped who I am." His silence was almost palpable, a heavy veil hanging between them. She imagined him, the lines on his face deepening with every second. "Clara, He hesitated, searching for the right words as if they were buried among his regrets. "It's complicated." "No, it's not," she interjected, her frustration boiling over. "You made choices that impacted my life, and I'm trying to understand why." The unexpected heat of her words hung in the air, thickening the silence further. Clara felt her heart race, not just from anger but from the surge of a long-buried desire for understanding. This was not just about her father, but about herself. "I never meant to hurt you," he finally admitted. His voice cracked. "I was just trying to survive. I thought I was protecting you by staying away." "Protecting me?" The words tumbled out, saturated with disbelief. "You call it protection, but I call it abandonment. There's a difference." Clara's breath hitched. Her own voice, strong yet fragile, reflected a dawning realization. Her capacity for confrontation had grown. It was a testament to the journey she had begun. The letters had implicitly dismantled the dichotomy she had hesitated to challenge. They revealed her father's flawed humanity, and in his struggle she saw fragments of her own fears. "I'm not trying to get you to say I'm right or wrong," she clarified, softening her tone. "I want us to move forward, even if it's hard." A heavy sigh broke through the line. "I don't know how to do that, Clara." "Then we'll figure it out together," she replied, surprising herself with the confidence in her voice. She was standing firm now, ready to tackle the remnants of her past and reach for a new tomorrow. Her heart braced for a response, yet instead, there was another silence, a silence that buzzed with the potential for connection. "Can we meet?" she asked, her voice steadier than she felt inside. "Meet?" he echoed, uncertainty lingering in his voice. "Yes," she affirmed, breathing deeply. "Not just on the phone, it's time to talk in person, face to face." A beat passed, and she imagined the whirlwind within him mirroring her own. "Okay," he finally agreed. "When?" "Soon," Clara said, energizing her resolution. An unexpected pulse of hope surged within her. This potential meeting was an invitation for rediscovery, for Clara, and perhaps for her father too, a path towards understanding and healing. But as she hung up, a new wave of anxiety rushed through her. Could she truly confront the physical presence of a man she had built up to be a distant memory? Was their connection capable of altering the architect of her identity? With the phone still buzzing in her palm, Clara recognized that the real confrontation was yet to come. Each step forward would demand courage, and she needed to prepare herself for the potential discoveries and disappointments. "Can I really face him?" she pondered anew, the complexity of her feelings reeling as she prepared for what this encounter might reveal. The truth was waiting, just around the corner. Would it lead her to healing, or further into the depths of old wounds? Clara woke the next morning with a knot in her stomach. The sun streamed through her window, illuminating the papers scattered across her desk. The letters from the attic, now crumpled and highlighted with her annotations, were her only links to understanding a man she'd long deemed unworthy of her time. Each acknowledgement brought forth a swirl of emotions, but today, They felt like stepping stones toward a confrontation she had barely begun to prepare for. Her breaths quickened as she rehearsed the conversation that loomed ahead. She envisioned herself sitting across from her father, watching his expressions shift as she spoke her truth. Yet doubt seeped in like an unwanted guest. What if he reverted to the man who had fled their lives? Would she have the strength to traverse those painful memories? With a determined shake of her head, Clara forced herself into action. In moments of determination, her previous paralyzing thoughts shifted into a firm resolve. She decided to channel her energy into clarity and conviction. Inspired by the design projects she had poured her heart into at work, she created a mental blueprint for their meeting. She imagined a cafe, the bustle of strangers surrounding them creating the facade of normalcy. Inspired by her recent growth, she meticulously wrote down questions she needed answers to, mixed with statements of how his absence affected her. There was something liberating in penning these down. She could finally voice her truth without fear of interruption or disapproval. Conflict had become her canvas where she could paint not just grief, but also a desire for resolution. Each question reflected a piece of her past, leaving a trail that led towards understanding. "Why didn't you trust me enough to stay?" she would ask. "Did you think I couldn't handle it?" Every point she'd chosen was to confront the illusion of his protection. By the time she finished, the sun had reached its zenith and Clara felt a weight lifted. Writing had become a form of release, a bridge between her past and her present. Yet, as a new realization washed over her, she paused. What did she really want from this reunion? Did she crave closure, validation, or a deeper connection? Those hidden desires pulsed beneath the surface, fiercely battling with her anger. Over the days leading up to the meeting, Clara decided to immerse herself in activities that reminded her of her capabilities. At work, she volunteered to lead a redesign project, diving into the nitty-gritty of planning. Every evening, she jogged through the lush nearby park, allowing the rhythm of her steps to settle her racing thoughts. It was there beneath the blooming trees that she often confronted the thoughts of her father, a fiercely tangled web of expectations and disappointments. With each jog, she found her breath grew stronger and realized that whatever happened in their meeting wouldn't define her. Finally, the day arrived. Clara stood before the mirror, adjusting her blouse as if preparing for battle rather than a conversation. Her heart raced, a metronome ticking away the seconds until she faced the man whose absence had imprinted a void in her life. This is not just about him, she reminded herself. This is about standing up for what I need to heal. As she stepped out, steeling herself for the cafe, Clara felt her pulse thrumming, anticipation mixing with fear. The encounter would expose vulnerabilities in both of them, sparking the flames of reconciliation or the ash of deeper wounds. The thought clung to her mind like a whisper, each word tangible with the promise of clarity or chaos. Could she bear the weight of what she might uncover, both about her father and herself? The answering truth thrummed at the edges of her consciousness as she approached the cafe. The moment of reckoning was here, one that could either haunt her or offer uncharted paths of transformation. Before she entered, Clara took a deep breath, knowing that in this encounter she would not only confront her father, but also the parts of herself she had tried to bury. This would no longer be just a meeting, but rather the beginning of a new chapter, one that she was ready to write, irrespective of the potential pain awaiting her. As she pushed the door open, a wave of air brushed against her. Uncertainty mingled with a burgeoning sense of hope. What revelations would unfold in this small space? Would she find clarity, or would the shadows of her past close in once more? The answers awaited her inside. As Clara stepped into the cafe, the comforting aroma of coffee and baked goods enveloped her, lending a sense of warmth to an otherwise tumultuous morning. Her heart pounded in her chest as she scanned the room, searching for the man she had both longed for and detested for years. The ambiance buzzed with life. People engaged in conversations, laughter ringing out. Yet in this vibrant world, Clara felt dissonant. She was grappling with emotions that could either bind her to a past of pain or unlock a future of healing. Seated in a corner booth, her father appeared older than she had envisioned. The years had etched deep lines into his face, a testament to a life burdened with regret and unfulfilled promises. He looked up as she approached, his expression a blend of surprise and apprehension. This was the moment of truth. The final thread of their estranged connection was slowly unraveling. "Clara," he whispered, voice low and cautious. Without forethought, she slid into the seat across from him, her breath hitching for a moment as she considered all the unspoken words that danced on the cusp of her tongue. "Thank you for meeting me," she said, her voice steady despite the storm of feelings breaching her composure. This was not just a reunion. It was an overture to redefine their relationship. "I didn't think you would actually reach out," he replied cautiously, hands fidgeting with the edge of the napkin. "I wasn't sure how you'd feel, how you'd see me." "It's complicated," Clara admitted, mirroring his earlier words, but this time as a declaration of their shared history rather than an excuse for absence. "I've read some of the letters. They made me realize there's so much left unsaid between us." Recognition flickered in his eyes, the tentative hint of vulnerability setting a tone for their conversation. "You read those? I had hoped to shield you from the truth, from my failures." "And what about my truth?" she voiced, her frustration simmering just beneath the surface. "You thought that by disappearing you could protect me? Your silence was a cruel wound, not a shield. You left me to grapple with my own demons alone." The air thickened with tension, laden with unsaid apologies and lingering resentments. "I know I can't justify my choices, but it was never about not caring, Clara. I thought I was saving you. You deserved better than the man I was then." The weighted silence wrapped around them both, pulling tighter with each moment. "I need to understand what happened. Why did you choose to walk away?" Her voice trembled, but it stood firm as an anchor amidst the swell of uncertainty. He sighed deeply, a flicker of remorse cascading across his features. "I was in the depths of addiction, caught up in my own shortcomings. I thought that distancing myself would keep you safe, away from the chaos that surrounded me." Each revelation was a tightening coil of anguish, yet Clara felt a strange sense of liberation. "The thing is, Dad, you're not just a reflection of your mistakes. You're a man shaped by them, but it's about time we acknowledge the aftermath." Emotion vibrated in the air like a palpable force. Clara felt the courage swell within her. "I've worked hard to reclaim my narrative and confront my own shadows. You can too. We have a choice to rewrite our story together, rather than letting our pasts dictate our futures." For the first time, she saw a flicker of possibility in his eyes. "Do you really believe we can do that? Start over?" "Yes," Clara insisted, her resolve fortifying. "But it begins with acknowledging the pain soberly without pretense. I want to learn about you, not just the shadow that loomed large in my life. Can you share your journey with me?" He hesitated, but then began to speak, details spilling forth interspersed with his regrets and the admission of how deep the fissures ran. As he recounted tales of his own childhood struggles and haunting moments of surrender, Clara felt the remnants of her resentment begin to dissipate. This conversation was unearthing the bones of her history. The confrontation had bared open wounds, but it also presented the possibility of healing. Hours passed within the encapsulated space of their booth. Murmurs of the cafe faded into an inaudible hum as the focus between them sharpened. Clara sensed the weight of years transforming with every word. Their connection was growing roots beneath the shared soil of vulnerability. "I've wrestled with forgiveness, and much of my journey heralded the truths contained in those letters," she confided, heart open. "But I can't continue to live in the shadows of disappointment. You have to be willing to acknowledge that it hurt, and it shaped me. I need to know you see my truth just as clearly." He absorbed her words, head slightly bowed. "You're right, I neglected your pain for my own. All I can offer now is my sincerest apologies. The last thing I want is to push you away again." Clara nodded, feeling the sting of tears threatening to betray her composure. "It's okay, Dad. I didn't reach out hoping for closure or forgiveness. I came here to build something new. I want to understand the man behind those letters, the man you are today." And as the conversation flowed deeper, Clara began to feel pieces of her estranged identity stitching into a coherent whole. The man before her, imperfect and flawed, was slowly transforming from a ghost of her past to a tangible figure fighting for his own redemption. She realized that healing is a journey shared, and moving forward was not solely about forgiving, but about belief in each other's capacity to evolve. As she looked into his eyes, she felt a solid reassurance blooming inside her, a confidence born from asserting her voice and claiming her narrative. They both emerged on new ground, where understanding had started forging links between past grievances and the bright light of possibilities ahead. In that small cafe, amongst the whispers of shared regrets and the scent of fresh coffee, Clara had not only confronted her father, but had catalyzed her own transformation. With a clear intention, they could rewrite their story together, hand in hand, navigating a future where their individual truths no longer stood divided but instead united them. The road ahead would require nurture, patience, and vulnerable conversations. Yet Clara knew within her, they had not only weathered the storm, they had ventured into the sunlight awaiting them, embracing the transformative growth that choice, courage, and connection could foster for both of their lives. Now, as her story unfurled, it was time for Clara to engage with her new reality. You need to subscribe now to this channel if you haven't already. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us share more indelible stories of transformation. Don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let them discover the beauty of personal growth and the power of confronting one's past in pursuit of a brighter future. Your engagement means the world to us, and together, we can build a community dedicated to uplifting stories that inspire real change.